we had a request. Today we're going to be doing I'm Not Okay by Jake. I assume that's how you pronounce it. I don't think I've heard this one before at all. Classical. Okay, I'm going to do something really quick to make sure that we fix this, because we are not in standard tuning. So I'm going to do a little trick where I tune my piano to be more in tune with the song so it doesn't drive me nuts, because it's going to drive me nuts. Fun stuff. There we go. Much better. Okay, we're going to start this over and try again. So I can hear right away that's a diminished chord, and that's what led me to be able to figure out the notes really quickly. Ooh. Okay, so we have something really beautiful going on. And what I'm doing basically to try to figure out what's happening with every single note is partially knowing what key we're in, but also trying to figure out what's actually going on with the chord. What we're doing is called arpeggiating. We're taking a chord that we could play with all the notes going at the same time, but we're just breaking it up. And it creates this beautiful movement in itself, but it's more interesting because you're spacing all the notes out. The other interesting thing about this first chord is that I can tell, since we go to a C sharp minor as the second chord, that this diminished chord is acting as a 5 chord. Now what do I mean by that? 5s like to go to 1s. The 5 of C sharp is G sharp, and this diminished chord works really nicely over what would be our 5, which is G sharp major with a flat 7, creates a dominant chord. But this chord goes really nicely over it because what we're doing is creating a G sharp dominant chord with a flat 9. Dominant chords with flat 9s love going to minor chords. It's a very classical thing to do, which totally makes sense why they're doing this in the beginning. Okay, that's only the first 2 chords, so let's make sure we keep going. That fast movement of notes right there is what we call a trill. Happens all the time in classical music. Our third chord, which we haven't gotten to yet, has the same melody over the top, but what's nice is it's a different chord and that melody still works over the top. Now what we've done is create an inversion of an F sharp major chord. And the reason why this sounds so interesting is because you could say that we're in the key of E or of C sharp minor. Both of those things are actually the same key. F sharp major would be a major 2 in our key, which is actually very unusual because it takes you out of the key, because we're not supposed to have an A sharp, which is the major 3rd, in the key of E major. Just for a second, but then what we do is we go move everything down just barely to fall into A major, which is in the key of E, because it's our major 4. Let's keep going. Now we're launching into the real chords of the song. That was just the intro.
You can kiss my love goodbye.
What we have here is a 4 chord going to a 1 chord, really common in pop music. What's interesting is that he's arpeggiating it so low on the piano, which is a little bit unusual, but it still sounds really beautiful because the piano is the only thing that's going on in the instrumentation of the song.
With tears I cried.
Ooh.
For the first, I can see bringing secrets to light.
Whoa. Okay, We were all... Do you want to know the reason why that made me go, whoa? It's because we did something all of a sudden that kind of went out of our key. All the chords that we were playing were in our key, and then all of a sudden he did something super interesting that took us out.
Bringing secrets to life. Secrets to life.
We're bringing a chord back from the intro, and that chord is the G sharp dominant 7 with a flat 9. So I wonder if we're going to go to the same chord after that.
How could,
Nope. Oh well.
how could
So now this is a lot like the very beginning, the intro that we had, except instead of this kind of slower moving arpeggio, we're going quicker and just taking part of the dominant chord rather than the whole dominant chord.
I be so naive to
Now we're gonna resolve to the C sharp minor.
think
All we did was move our diminished chord up a whole step to a different one. Diminished chords have this natural way of creating a lot of tension in our natural process in music of tension and release. Diminished chords are almost always tension right before a release. So what we're doing with this other diminished chord that we went to, which is D, F, you can think of it as A flat. This diminished chord is a part of a different dominant chord, like I explained before, that creates a flat 9. And since our resolving chord is F sharp minor, I kind of intuitively knew that this must be giving the illusion of a C sharp major dominant chord. And look, it is. Because D is our flat 9. This diminished chord, these 3 notes right here, are giving us all of that information just from that. Sometimes we don't need to spell out the entire chord to create the same effect. We only need to use a few of the notes and it does exactly the same thing. We did another very classic thing. Instead of just doing a 5-1, we did a 2-5-1. F sharp minor is our minor 2, B major is our 5, E is our 1.
I'm a fool. I guess I should have don't love me.
Okay, we have to go back again.
I should have known you don't love.
Guys, we did the same thing again. Sometimes if you hear interesting chords, it's really just the same thing that we've been doing, rearranged in a different way. This chord right here is part of the same diminished chord we literally just used to go from our C sharp flat 9. It's the same thing. To go to our F sharp minor.
I'm just down, but I can't see it.
Okay, I want to say one quick thing about the chord that happened before the drop, and then I'll talk about that whole craziness.
I'm just down.
What is that chord? A over B. What is A over B? Well, let's figure it out. B, and then if we're using all the notes in an A major chord, we have the 9, the 4, and the flat 7. Now what does that do? It basically creates an interesting version of a sus chord. So all you have to do is take your root, go down one whole step to A, and create a major triad. And you just gave yourself a very interesting chord that kind of has a sus4 sound to it. I can tell that that's the root, so it's going to be right there. I'm going to play it down here because that's what I'm actually singing. How did I figure that out? listening to scales for a really long time since I was young, and also doing ear training based on intervals and chords and things like that.
All my friends say he is vision blurred, 'cause I kinda like the pain. I'm not okay.
What?
Is it okay with me?
Okay, let's just go back really quick and talk about those chords that are happening at the very end, and then I swear we'll be done. D major, E major, C sharp major. So D is our flat 7, B is our major 5, E is our 1, and then C sharp major would be our major 6, which is also outside of the key. So 2 of these chords that we're playing in this last progression are outside of the key. And that's why it sounds so crazy and so funky. The flat 7 is not naturally occurring in the key of E major. B obviously is E major. But if we turn our C sharp to major, it's not naturally occurring. Why? Because there's an F instead of an E. Okay, so this song has some very, very interesting chords and things going on. A lot of classical concepts. But I mean, at the end, it just goes, I don't know, bluesy. Very interesting. I really liked this request. Thanks, Will. I'll see you in the next one.
I'm not